this is Dave Postin, better known as Whittler, not Whistling Dave. I bet you can whistle.
I can whistle.
Whittler Dave. He is 100% self-taught. I was asking him earlier. I thought surely somebody in his family probably did this and taught. Nope, 100% self-taught, and he's been carving and whittling since 7 years old. So pretty much his whole life. He uses everything by hand, knives, chisels, axes, all kinds of wood carving tools. He makes animals, characters, folk art, furniture, can pretty much make anything. So tonight, he's going to talk about the difference. I found him he was recommended, and then I went and watched some of his videos on YouTube, and one of the most interesting things I thought was the difference between whittling and carving. And this Forging America 250 program is all about life 250 years ago. And this certainly would have been something. I mean, my granddad whittled. I mean, guys just carried around little pen knives, and they just whittled. But I was like, there is a difference between whittling and carving, and he did a great job in his video explaining it. So he's going to do some demonstrations for us tonight and explain some different things. And so we're glad to have him. So thanks for being here.
All right, thank you, folks. I appreciate it. Well, years ago, before major stores or anything, if you needed a spoon or you needed a chair, you made it and everything. So, and this is called an axe block, and you used a hatchet, and you just, I'll show you how they did it back then.
And y'all feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. And this is a piece of poplar, and they didn't worry about fancy spoons. It was a need. It was a need. They didn't care how fancy it was, as long as it served that day of what they were needing. We're just doing a simpler one. Now, a lot of times you can take a limb, and then if you carve it green, and when the wood is not dry, it's a lot easier on your tools, your hands. You can get a lot of times you'll see a limb and it's got like a crook into it. That's how you can make a ladle. If you see a limb and it kind of bends down like this, you can carve a ladle out of that.
Oh, what are you making now?
Just a simple little bow spoon,
okay.
A dipper, and they didn't have no patterns. They just drawed on there good enough. I'm shaping it, and we'll get her down to a rough shape in the little dipper, and then I'll show you how I bow it. Now what I did is I took my handsaw and I cut a line in here. It just creates a stop cut and everything, so when I drive this hatchet, this is a Swedish hatchet. It was custom made for me. People that make these have been in the family, have been in business for over 100 years, and this come from Sweden. It is sharp.
You never cut a finger off?
No. Usually when I cut myself, it's when I sheave it. If I put it when I do, I'll get my finger. Now you can do fancier ones. I'll show you some love spoons here in a few minutes. I cannot hide. I'm a professional mess maker. It would be impossible for me to hide. This is one form of art I don't teach. I seen an older gentleman when I was younger doing this, and I have the ability when I see something, I can pick it up instantly. It just comes natural for me. That's good enough. Did your grandma have any handmade spoons? You remember?
Mine didn't.
My grandmother was a sewer too. My grandmother one time, years ago, instead of what they call a former living room now, it was called a parlor back then. You remember the parlors then? And Grandma had some ladies coming over, and she told me that she didn't have enough chairs. And I was told to go out and build some chairs. And at the end of the day, her chairs were sitting there. I mean, it was something that you needed back then. You didn't run out and buy it, you built it. And I was told that that's what she needed, so yes, ma'am, I went out and built her chairs.
What kind of wood is that?
This is poplar. Piece of poplar. It's got a lot of spalding in it. You see all the marks and stuff? This is called spalding. And a lot of people have their different reasons why. I'm originally from Indiana, so they say the spalding creates from the iron ore from the mines. And it gets into the, and some people, I've heard all kinds of reasons why. They have poplar, it's called blue merle. It's very beautiful. But this is a friend of mine, this all come out of Pennsylvania. Is where this come from. I do.
Where do you get your wood?
Well, I do a lot of bartering.
Okay.
Yeah, people, they want to try something or they want to try one of my woods, just like the cottonwood bark there. This is a piece of bark. This is off a cottonwood tree out of Alaska. That's just bark. And a guy contacted me on my YouTube channel, and he wanted to carve sugar pine. And so we bartered, and he gave me the bark, and I gave him sugar pine. Did I make anybody nervous? Yeah, I'm getting ready to build some tables and end tables and a bed for a guy. He wants the primitive looks since we live here in the mountains.
So how long will it take you to make that?
Well, that one is going to be what we call a machine build. I'll use my table saw and cut the wood, but I have the ability to take a log and rip it in half, and it's called book matching. So in other words, you have a perfect log, and when you open it up, both sides of the grain will match each side of the cabinet. But that can get quite expensive to do. So machine, if I use a machine and I buy dimensional lumber, and then I will cut everything out, and I will cut all the dovetails and stuff by hand and put it all together by hand, but it is mainly dimension lumber already.
So did he pick out the type of wood he wants it made out of?
Yep, he's bringing me cherry.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite wood that you like?
No, I pretty well like everything. I do, especially when it's easy on my billfold. Because wood's expensive now. It is not cheap. Yeah, when I go out and buy a load of, I like sugar pine a lot. And here in Tennessee, they call it alpine. It's what it's called. And I can get it at 84 lumber. I can get there, and then I can make all my little things and stuff. But I search. I'm a dumpster diver. If it's sitting in a dumpster, I'm going to bring. I mean, I can come home and take another bath. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I wash my own clothes, so I can wash my clothes. So you like diving in dumpsters too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can find a lot of good stuff.
Cleared out our parents' house in Chicago, and there's a dumpster down below, and we were throwing stuff out of the third story. And my brother threw out some copper wire. Then my dad was selling at the time. And I'm like, I'm going into that. He said jewelry making.
Yeah. Yeah. I strip wire off of other wire, to get the copper. I mean, I guess I'm a hoarder. I don't know if you. I mean, there's like this wood here. A guy parks in my yard because I live so close and I don't charge. And he said, "What can I bring you?" I said, "Nah, if you got any wood at home." So he brought me this. This is barn wood. This is solid oak, and it's over 100 years old. This piece of wood here. So yeah, I just take about anything. Now see, that didn't take very long. We've got a round, close bow. This is a trimming axe right here, just to clean up. They don't have the weight like that. This one was custom made for me out of Sweden too. You swing a hatchet all day long, it can really get to your wrist and your arms, and yeah. I did about 8 years on the streets of Gatlinburg swinging a hatchet. I did Tunes and Tales, yes. I was getting ready, yep. I was their main carver. Now I have another bench that I've made, but I didn't bring it. I have to dolly it in. It's kind of heavy, and I'm getting ready to build another one. See, it's close enough. It's getting there. Now there's some people in Sweden. They do beautiful spoons. They like to put in all the Celtic and the really beautiful. I just do. I do spoons that when you need one, you need one. Now my cherry ones there, I spent more time on. I used a spoke shaver and stuff like that, and cleaned them up even more because they're soup spoons. Yeah, they're right there.
The one you're doing, is it going to be more like
yeah, same like that.
Okay.
Yeah, see? It didn't take long. It doesn't. We'll bow it here in a minute. Clean it up. Small dough bowl. And that's all been done with a hatchet, an adze. Yep. And the adze this is called a guttering adze. See, you hollow this out like this. That's called an adze. Yep. Years ago, when you see your cabins, they used to use what we call a foot adze. So if you ever see those logs and it looks kind of wavy and choppy and stuff, that's called hand hewing. And you have a bigger one of these, and they lay that log on the ground, and they would swing it between their legs. It's called a foot adze. And I've done that too. Yeah. Yep, and them are all food grade safe. Why have a spoon if you can't use it? Now we're just going to work on the crank. And yes, I have cut one in half. And then you start all over. Oh yeah. I've and it was a pretty spoon too. And just nothing you could do about it. And we're just working on that crank there. There's your crank. Just a simple. When I teach woodworking or wood carving or anything, that's one of the things I'm asked is, are we going to cut ourselves? Like, yes. Yeah, you get most definitely. But I'm a good doctor. And I like super glue a lot. I've done this too long. But that's one of my, people are the biggest fears that they got to get over that hump. Yes, you are going to cut yourself. You got your crank here, and you got your bottom crank. Simple.
So would any of those tools fall more in the carving or the
Okay, this is just your primitive. I can show you some. Yeah, this is your primitive, just to rough these in. I will get into the chisel here in a minute, and I'll show you how I bow that. Let me knock some of this weight off. And then we'll do a little hand carving. Like this here is hand carving, chisel, knife. It's a little bit of everything. That's called shallow relief carving. Just like Tommy the Turtle right there. All right. Let's put a little bow into it. I'll even show you guys a monkey here in a minute. Not me, but a monkey. I will. Now that's shallow relief carving. You can show Tommy the Turtle to him. That's shallow relief. That's a finished piece. And that's basically carving, chisels, whittling. It's all rolled into one. When you do relief carving, you use a lot of different tools for that. Okay, we got basically the handle started. Let's do some bowing. I make all my own mallets. This is a dogwood tree, and this is just scrap laying on the shop floor. So I make all my own mallets. Now, this is a spoon board. It's basically a vise, is what this is. So I can hold something. Put your little rope on there. Now I'm going to bow this out. And look, this is a vise. There we go. See, that way my hand's free. And this is just made out of scrap, piece of old pine, some maple I had laying around and stuff. And basically, I'm going to cut this out here. I'm going to bow this out. This is all going to go. Chisel. I find it very relaxing doing wood carving or building. I have to after I do it 7 days a week. I think I carve in my sleep. See, it don't really move that much. A longer spoon will fit into this 45 here, and then I can lock the handle down even more. I'll show you that one here in a minute. And you see the bow? Yeah, they men, even women. There's some really wonderful women that have learned to do this, make their own spoons. And like I said, I follow a lot of people in Sweden. They're well known for their spoons. I have a lot of tools made out of Sweden because they make beautiful tools.
That's what I was going to ask you about you order yours from Sweden.
Yeah, I have several companies I bought my first set of chisels when I was 12 years old out of Sweden, and I still have them and I still use them, and I'm 62 years old, so they're quality steel. They work perfect.
Do the handles ever wear out where you're hitting the...
Yeah, I mean, this is a driver. So yeah, I'll have to eventually, this is all handmade. I had a guy to make me all these years ago. And you can see the blackness in it and all the marks. Them are tool marks where he hand forged all these. So yeah, the handle's starting to get a little beat up.
Can you make new ones? And just
Yep, I'll make a whole new handle. When you drive it like this constantly, just like the dogwood, that's a dogwood limb, but you can see it's starting to split and all. It was a little fatter, but I keep sanding it and shaping it, and eventually I'm going to have to make a new one. And you just go out and just find a limb laying on the side of the road, and especially now, see, dogwood's a hardwood, so like oak, anything that's hard, maple, because you hear that boom, but that's a blunt. It's driving it very hard. You don't want to use a soft, but this one here is more softer and everything. All right, we got that roughed in. Then you can go into what we call a hook knife. See that right there? And no, that's not fun to sharpen. It's not. And you can come right in here and you can take that right out. And that will bow. Now, a lot of people will cut these out green wood. Like I said, they'll use nothing but freshly cut limbs off a tree or whatever, because this is harder on you. It's harder on your arms. It's harder on your tools. Green wood the wood's very green, and it will just slice like butter. You know, some people will actually put this in water for like a month, and then they'll take it out, and then that will soften the wood. But when you do green wood carving, you got to save all these shavings, and you put it in a box, and then you take your spoon and you put that in there for that box, and those shavings will draw the moisture out of the spoon. But you got to change it constantly because it can mold your spoon. Like I have an old cellar basement, so it works really good. You can put that box down in the cellar basement, and it's But yeah, I lost my father-in-law 3 years ago, and his last wood that he cut was a piece of cherry. So I attained it, and it was green, so I've carved, and I eat with it. I've got me a cherry spoon that I eat my soup with, but I had to put it in a box with sawdust, with shavings, and about 4 months later, I finished carving it, and I can use it now. I make what they call a custa. And a custa is a hiking cup. And it's a cup about this tall. It's got this weird little handle on it, and you can hang it on your belt, and hikers use them. The best wood for that is birch. Birch wood has a tight grain on it, and once you seal it, the birch rings will pull in, and it'll never leak again. Birch is very good. The problem is you can't get birch around here. There's no birch trees. I have not, so I have to get it either. I have to buy it, or I have to get people to bring it in for me. And that's paperback birch. They got several birch trees out there. As you can see, that's just bowing it easy. Now for a longer spoon, this is apple wood. This piece of apple wood. Let's turn this around. No, let's do it like this. See, it'll fit into there, and it won't move around. Applewood's a pretty piece of wood. Wrong mallet. And this one's extremely hard, because this been drying for, I probably had this piece of wood for about 3 or 4 years. So this will be harder to cut out because it's extremely dry. Can you tell the difference? You know, right, that one was easier, okay, because it's fresher wood. Here's the difference. This is where I sharpen my tools more. You got to have a lot of patience. You do. And I sit out a lot of times outside in 100-degree weather and just carve all day long because heat doesn't bother me. And I'll sit out there all day and show people this and carve and build, and that's my most happiest time. I tell people I got my talent from a higher power. I've never been trained, and I just I don't know why I do this. I just see it. You can see it's just going to take over to get that down more and more and more and more. Let's show you a little bit of carving. You've seen this. I'm going to show you what I call a love spoon. You know what a love spoon is? Well, when I was in Pennsylvania, I was carving spoons. Where's my knife? Use this one here. This will work. I was carving spoons like this and everything, and a guy said, "Hey, I see you're carving love spoons." And I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "You know what a love spoon is?" I said, "Yeah, if you made Grandma mad, she'd smack you with the spoon, give you a little love." And that's what I thought it was. And no, I was wrong. And well, that's what I thought a love spoon was. So what he told me was a man, when he was courting a woman, would find out what she liked in life, and he would stick it in a spoon. It could be a swan, or it could be let's just start on the calla lily. The calla lily, and that's, we just got to, so he would make this right here and show his affection. And that's how he would make a love spoon. But I thought it was the other way around when you made Grandma mad. Does anybody remember those days? Yeah. A little tap there, a little tap tap. There it is. I was looking for you. And then I'll antique all these and I'll paint these. Because these are non-usable. They're just something that sets around. This is just whittling this out here.
What makes them food grade?
An oil that I use. And you can get this oil at Lowe's or whatever. It's for butcher block. Cutting board oil. They've got a wax, and they've got.
So will that turn any wood into food grade?
Depends on, yeah, pretty well, yeah. Okay. You got to watch some of your woods. You don't want to use woods that are toxic for any spoons. And there's a lot of wood out there. And then it's like walnut. When I do walnut, and if you buy, I have to ask you, are you allergic to the oils of a walnut, because it can make you sick. I like using maple, cherry, poplar is a good one because they're a non-toxic wood. There we go. Oh, I didn't show you the monkey yet, did I? Oh, you got to holler at an old man. I forget. I'm telling you. All right. All right, let's put it down here for a minute. You guys can pass this around. All right, hang on. Uh-oh. Yeah, there it is. Let's put this back on here or I'll get in trouble. This is made out of a peach seed. Mm-hmm. You can make turtles. Mm-hmm. The pit that's inside the. He's just hanging on his little tail. You know. You can make baskets. Quilting Granny, who's going to come here, I made her a basket. I've made. There was another guy he used to make squirrels out of his. And we're just doing some whittling. Now I used to carve those monkeys with a Barlow tree pocket knife. Well, now I use a razor blade knife because my hands are old. And I can't handle that with the pocket knife anymore. After 56 years of carving, yeah.
My husband has a lot of pocket knives, and he had like 10 of them on the table. I said, what are those for? He goes, you can pick which one you want to do the whittling to. I said, oh, I don't think I'm doing it. I think I'm just going to watch.
Well, I am at Burger King on Veterans Highway every Sunday from 7 to 11. And I have a lady learning to carve there. I teach there on Sundays from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock every Sunday. I have a lot of people come in and they want to whittle with me. Okay, thank you. So if you feel the need and you want to learn, well, you just come and visit me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're just shaping it. Yeah, this is, I tell people, the lady that's actually learning to carve, her husband's very sick. So she needed a stress reliever, and she wanted me to learn to carve now. Things that they're going through. When she feels the stress, she'll sit outside and just whittle. And she's carved one of my angels that she's sending to a lady, one of her relatives. What else she's done? She's done several Christmas ornaments. I do that a lot. See, just simple.
What kind of a knife do you use for that peach pick? Because it's so small.
Razor blade knives now, because I used to use a Barlow tree knife, but arthritis in the hands doesn't like me, so a razor blade. Yep, very simple. I don't carve them as much as I used to, because if you can get one when they're freshly out of it, they're still kind of wet and green, and they're hollow on the inside.
Lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to carve tons. I carved an Elvis one. I did. I did 8 years at the McDonald's in Gatlinburg. So I did one with Elvis with the pompadour, basically, and I took a marker and I colored that little hair like, his pompadour. Yeah. And this lady just, she just loved it, and I was wearing it, and she goes, I want that. I said, well, I really don't want to get rid of him. And she goes, well, I'll give you $20. Well, Elvis left the building that day for a peach seed. Yeah, Elvis left that day. Yeah, $20. I mean, yeah, Elvis is gone. He's gone. Yeah, see, we're just whittling. Oh, I'm sorry. Just whittling. I'll show you some more. Hang on, where's my bag? I constantly got stuff to whittle. Gnomes. I'm going to turn into a gnome. Just simple little gnomes. And I've got some on the table. I just did one that's red. I'm very patriotic, so I love anything that's red, white, and blue. So I just did one of these in red, white, and blue. Now, I don't use a glove or wrap my hands because I wasn't raised, they didn't have that back then. But when I teach people nowadays, I give them suggestion to put a glove on or wrap your hands with the medical tape. I mean, I tell people, watch me, but don't be me. I don't allow them to carve on their legs because I have all my life. I make them stay at a table. As kids, sometimes I'll work with them with soap. Just give them a bar of soap and let them play with that with plastic butter knives and stuff like that. Just play with that. Has anybody ever carved anything?
Not when I wasn't supposed to.
Well, okay, I was the same way.
You know, when I always thought of carving, I always thought of mallard ducks.
Oh, I did those.
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah. Yeah, I did ducks for from 18. I was 18 to about 28 years old, and I thought I was going to quack. I mean, I did so many ducks, and they had to be, they had to look just like a duck. Now I just do fun ducks, or I do. Where'd he go? I did Patrick. I'm carving Patrick on SpongeBob. I just did one. It went to Florida. See, just fun little ducks. All right, I'm huge in angels. See, this will be an angel, the praying angel. I carve a lot of angels. But yeah, just a friend of mine got a hold of me and says, you ever carve SpongeBob stuff? And I did SpongeBob years ago, and he goes, what about Patrick? And I'm like, what's Patrick? Because I grew up with Tom and Jerry. I didn't know what a Patrick was. So I had to Google, like, okay, that's nothing. And I just carved it, and it went to a lady in Florida. That's where it's at. It went back to water. It's a starfish. Well, we're just going to whittle some. But the difference is shadow relief carving, you use a lot of chisels, some knives, and that's basically it. It's just you would use a lot of chiseling to take the background out and everything. Did I bring? Oh yeah, I did.
How do you make the wood smooth? With all of your tools?
Tools and a little bit of sanding. Yeah, I teach. I tell my students to go ahead and sand a little bit because it'll tell you where you've missed and you haven't. You haven't carved. These are palm gouges. They set in my hands. So if I want to take the background down in this relief carving, this is another form of style of carving. We just start working this out. There's no machines. This involves knives, chisels, mallets.
So is that the biggest difference then in carving and whittling is what type of tools?
Yes, there's so many tools out there. Like I said, this is a small little gouge. It's called a palm. It's your palm. You don't really dry this with a mallet because you can bust this. I do sometimes. I'm guilty. I've had these, 30 years probably. They're very quality tools. But when I set around the leaf here, this is where I will use a small mallet. This is called a skew chisel. It's straight and it's beveled. So I'll take this lighter one here. I'm very careful. And I'm creating a stop cut where when I cut in here, that chip will break off. See, it just started breaking off. It's called a stop cut. And then I'll take a knife and I'll do an undercut where we'll get into cutting under it. You gotta hold it at a different angle because we want that to peer underneath there. Like that leaf is literally lifting off that piece of wood. You give it that illusion. To do one of these, there's just, like I said, whittling, carving, chiseling, so much here. But no machines. Anybody see that? It's kind of hard to hold it. And now all I've done is I've taken a flat leaf and now it gives you that shadow. It gives you that shadow. And that's what you want that like it's actually literally, it's like it's separated from here and it's like a true leaf. That's how all this was carved. This was all flat when I started. I drawed this picture. And just because I draw a picture, it talks to me and it changes and things just, I add things sometimes. I've been known to add little like a little bird over here or just a little ladybug or whatever. It's this. My brain always is constantly trying to, it drives me nuts sometimes. Yeah, just simple. It's simple. I am a mythological carver. This is a dragon spoon. This will take me over probably almost a year to get done. Yeah, because I'll actually carve all the scales, and then I mix and make most of my paints because I don't like I don't like reds, I don't like purples. I see it differently. So that's the hardest thing for me to do is I can teach you to carve, but teach you to how to understand painting is a nightmare for me.
What kind of paints do you use?
I use about everything. Acrylics. I've actually learned, and a lot of people say it's impossible, but I can take an oil base and put acrylic with it and make them without them sticking together. You know, it will dry. And them two are not like fire and water. You cannot mix them, but I've learned tricks. But I didn't, like I said, I'm a non-modern artist. Didn't grow up with no computers. This is I teach all my kids, this is your first computer. Wake it up, knock on that, hello! Wake that thing up, there's your computer. If I didn't have a business or kids floating in the United States, I would not own a phone. I mean, I don't own a TV at home. I don't own a microwave. I don't like modernization. I just don't. I'm very, very, very old-fashioned. I still open the door for a woman. That's how old-fashioned I am. I'm just that way.
Yeah, so we just decided, we just took a vote here, when the apocalypse happens, we're coming into your house.
Oh. Well, I am a survivor. I actually got totes and stuff already put back. Grandma raised us to be,
Self-sufficient.
very self. And I've got tools that if you lost all your power, I could still build my house. Because I'm very old-fashioned, so I've got primitive tools. I still use nails. I can still put wood together without nails. I still got a hand drill, and then you carve a wooden peg that's green, and you drill a hole into that. You soak that peg into water. You drive it in that hole. When it dries, it'll spread, and you'll never pull it out. I worked with the Amish. I grew up with the Amish, the Mennonite, and Dutch German in a little town called Paola, Indiana. That's where I'm originally from. So I grew up around all this. I've seen actual barn raising. That was interesting. Very interesting.
So is that how they join things for furniture and buildings and everything?
All about with scarves, dovetails, rabbit joints, fingers. A finger joint is basically, it's a piece of wood. It's like your fingers. When they go together and glue it, you'll never pull it apart. And it's all cut by hand, and they still cut them like that. Excuse me?
Is that anywhere near Shipshawana?
Paola, no, but yeah, it's further down. Okay. Yeah. But I know where that is too. And like Montgomery, Indiana, it's very well known for its Amish.
We went up there. I went up there a couple of years ago, and I'd never even heard of it.
Oh, really?
It was fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, when we were kids, my Uncle Harry, we used to take us, and he would barter with them. And we were told, I was just a kid, that we were not allowed to interact. I could stand by the car, but I couldn't talk to the kids. I couldn't play, because only the elder would come out. The women never spoke. And you could tell the elder by his beard, literally by the beard and everything. And then these two would be a handshake, a nod, very little, and then they would barter. Harry would get his stuff, and they would get theirs, and then we would drive off. And my Uncle Harry had a Model T. Yep, he had a little Model T. Yeah. I grew up working on that stuff. I grew up a lot, like I said, I really don't fit this world, actually, because I'm too old-fashioned. I'm way too old-fashioned. We're just lifting the leaves, then a little curving. See, simple. Yeah. Let's see here.
And how's the whittling?
I'm gonna do a mouse.
Oh, you're going to do a mouse.
Yeah. I was just setting my brains like, hey, I need to whittle some. I'm trying to get everything in, I am trying to hit everything. Just a little mouse. These are simple. We're going to do a V cut to part his ears. Can everybody? It's a little bit hard to see with my big old fingers. I haven't learned to carve without my fingers. It'd be very hard. Yeah, little mallet. I've carved these since I was 7 years old. I used to do wooden tails, and then the kids kept bringing them back because they'd break the tails off. So I got away from the wooden ones and I started using string. But this is what men would do back years ago, just sit around and whittle. Sometimes they just take a stick all day long and shave a stick. And it's just, I've done that. Stress reliever.
Does the wood make a difference for whittling versus the carving or anything? No.
It doesn't for me because I grew up with nothing, so I learned to use. There's a lot of modern carvers now that will only use like basswood because it's extremely soft. Where I grew up, where there was no such thing as basswood. I didn't. It just whatever's laying around, we used it. Now there is some pine yellow pine is just not really good to carve. I have, but it's very sappy. It's very hard to carve. Sugar pine is like I said, sugar. It's just soft. It has a soft grain. Decoy workers used to use it, where they made decoys out of them. Yep, they would. I've got a baby up there too. I've actually carved these mice no bigger than that. Yep, we're just whittling. That little baby one right up there. Nope, right. That's the baby. That's a small one. I give them to my kids. When I'm at Burger King, I look for somebody that's respecting their mom, and they come in and they sit down and eat their breakfast and everything. Then I'll give them a little mouse.
Oh, that's nice. I'm sure they appreciate it.
Yeah, I actually have a little girl. Well, she was little. Come back 2 years ago. When she was little, I gave her a mouse, and she's now an adult with kids, and she comes back and she holds her hand out and she goes, "Do you remember me?" And yes, I did. And that was with respect right there. She still carries that mouse in her purse. Just simple. We're got to get some legs on him. He won't be able to walk around. And just little chunks of wood. I don't throw nothing away.
Do you have a shop that you did this out of?
Just at my house.
At your house?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Like I tell people, send me an email if you're going to be in Gatlinburg. And type in Whittler Dave on YouTube. On Google Maps, and that'll bring you to my house. And if you don't want to if you want to go into Gatlinburg, it's a short walk. You can park there free and not have to pay $20. I don't charge. You save that $20. I'm that close to downtown Gatlinburg. You know where the bypass road is. Coming into Gatlinburg, you come up that bypass, there's Anakista. As soon as you come down, you're going to see 2 new cabins because they burnt during the fire. But as soon as you come down, there's that flashing light. If you turn left, that's Stevens Drive. There's a gray house on the corner. My house is beside it. You'll know it's mine. I've got American flags everywhere. Huh?
I used to live in the gray.
Okay. Then you know where I live at.
I do.
I know the lady. Well, the lady that owns it now. I watch her house because she lives in Georgia now. I take care of her house when she has a problem. She used to live there. Small world. See, if you was there now, I would have you over there working and learn, and you'd be learning to wood carve.
I would.
Now we're going to do the other leg. Just the point of the knife.
Have you ever taught classes at Aramont?
No. I've thought about it one time. I teach a very different way, and I'm not a book teacher. I teach strictly hands-on. I mean, let's put some play clothes on because we're going to get dirty.
Well, that's what they do. Have you ever been in their wood studio?
I've not yet,
You gotta check. You would love it. It is phenomenal.
because I like hands-on
That's all they
strictly.
do. That's all they do is hands-on.
At first, I thought they stopped because I hadn't seen anything.
Yeah. They're moving right along. That's a beautiful facility.
Okay, so this one's basically done. Got to put some eyeballs on it, and or he won't be able to see. They're just simple. This is just whittling.
So if we're looking at something, how do you know if something was carved versus whittled?
I can tell.
How can we tell?
Tool marks.
Ask.
Yeah, well, that, if they're going to be truthful, but I mean, it's hard to fool me.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very much so. I can tell.